adventure, intrigue, lost cities, ancient mysteries, and more on this week's episode of East10 Investigates. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the East10 Outpost. I'm Cody, and I'm going to be your guide this evening. Thank you for joining me for another episode in our Investigate series. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at a bit of a hot-button issue. It's something that, regardless of how you feel about it, you most likely have an opinion on the subject. But we're going to be taking a look at the official narrative, because global warming isn't quite what we've been told.
How dare you!
Okay, now hear me out, because global warming, the phenomena, is definitely a very real occurrence, but so is global cooling. And really, either one could be happening to our planet right now. So let's take a look at what our planet has to say in its unbiased opinion, in Global Warming and Cooling, a Historical Perspective. No doubt there are many videos on the subject that approach the topic from a very scientific perspective. They give details I could never hope to understand or accurately relay, so that's not how we're going to be approaching today's video. Instead, we're going to be looking at it from the view of the context box down below. See, the UN thinks it's important that you know global warming is mainly caused by human activities and the burning of fossil fuels, but this feels a little bit disingenuous to me. Actually, not just a little disingenuous, but like an outright malicious lie. Because we know that long before there were humans on our planet, we were going through incredibly intense cycles of warming and cooling, free of any fossil fuel burning humans. So it makes you wonder where they get this perspective, and it definitely makes me want to challenge it. So let's take a look from a historical view at global warming and cooling before humans and up to our present time. Now we know that Earth is roughly 4.5 billion years old, and in the beginning it spent a lot of that time being hellishly hot. See, that period of time was known as the Hadean period, and it lasted until roughly 4 billion years ago. And then it got intensely cold. In the last 100 million years, global temperatures have peaked twice. One spike was the Cretaceous hot greenhouse period roughly 92 million years ago, and the other hot period was the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, known as the PETM, about 55 million years ago. Though not quite as hot as the Cretaceous hothouse period, the PETM brought rapidly rising temperatures. During much of the Paleocene and early Eocene, the poles were free of ice caps, meaning that palm trees and cold-blooded reptiles could actually be found above the Arctic Circle. Now, let's fast forward to the last full glacial maximum, or ice age, roughly 100,000 years ago. See, the planet was a very chilly and inhospitable place at that time for budding hominids, but we certainly did our best to cope with it. A majority of the world was covered in a thick ice sheet, and only down near the equator would conditions have been more familiar to some of our worldly conditions today. Slowly but surely, our planet's climate inched towards more moderate and forgiving temperatures, slowly raising the water levels around the world until about 13,000 years ago, when something very curious happened. A sudden spike in cooling and an immediate raise in water levels indicates an impact on the ice sheets and a flood of biblical proportions. This is known as the Younger Dryas impact theory, and men much smarter and more eloquent than myself, like Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, will be linked to down below to explain this theory in more depth. But essentially, as we passed near a comet stream, some of that stream debris made it into our atmosphere, causing multiple impacts around a sizable portion of our globe. This immediately melted substantial portions of the ice, causing what every culture on our planet recorded as a great flood. The debris thrown into the atmosphere from these collisions blocked the sun for a period of time, causing a spike in cooling on what had been a warming trend for a while. Following the time period of Earth coated in a geological black mat, mankind emerged as the dominant mammal on our planet for the first time in our world's history. So we know that a majority of the time here on our planet, we have been in either a full glacial period, described as our planet being coated with large ice sheets, or an interglacial period, described as our planet having ice sheets on the north and south poles. This is the state we are in currently. But how did we arrive to a point where the near mention of the term global warming causes such a knee-jerk reaction and a YouTube context box down below videos? Well, it's simple. The last 4.5 billion years of global warming and cooling has been absent of one thing: humans and their proclivity to cash in on calamity. The ancient people of our world were very aware of the cyclical nature of Earth's heating and cooling patterns, but it's only been in the last 2 decades that this has become a massive global concern and a daily politician talking point. So you have to wonder why. Because it's well documented through scientifically tested, peer-reviewed, and published papers that times in our past, which were free of human activity, had much more dangerous volcanic emissions, which eroded the atmosphere to a far greater degree than anything humans have contributed. So you have to wonder why and how these systems of control have been put in place, when this is a naturally occurring phenomena, that whether or not we are contributing emissions into the atmosphere which could be harmful or eroding to it, this certainly isn't Earth's first rodeo, and it won't be its last. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Are we potentially being taken advantage of by governments around the world for what is otherwise a naturally occurring Earth cycle? I think it's pretty possible. But either way, I hope you'll always stay curious and dig into the subject a little deeper on your own, because truly nothing is more valuable or a greater or more dangerous weapon than knowledge. So arm yourself well, my friends. I'll see you next Tuesday back here at the Outpost for another episode of East 10 Investigates.